Welcome to Conversations in the Coop. I'm your host, Trinity Director of Athletics, Drew Galbraith. It's my pleasure to be joined today by a captain of the Trinity women's ice hockey team, Jenny Guider. Jenny, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, it's an exciting time of year. We're getting into the stretch run for you and your teammates on the ice hockey team. And just talk a little bit, as a senior and you're kind of heading into this last run around the conference schedule, how's the season going?
Well, we're off to a great foot this calendar year. We've been having a great time having some challenging opponents like Norwich and Amherst who have held their own consistently over the years. We were able to get some wins against them, so we're super excited about that. Hoping to continue this role just kind of through our conference stretch right here. We're going to have our next 10 games all be conference games, so it's going to be a challenge, but we're definitely really excited to get into it. It's a very exciting part of the season.
So as you go through that first half of the year, we kind of build up to a stretch of tough conference opponents, and you mentioned Norwich mixed in after the break. So going up to Norwich, a team that Trinity's competed really well against historically, but going up to that historic program and getting that win right after the holiday, what was that locker room like afterwards?
Oh, it was fantastic. It felt like we won a tournament or something, you know. Just having everyone in there, the energy, like the dancing, we're spraying water, you know, we're having a great time celebrating all that hard work that we put forward. Like, we skated for almost, 8 or 9 days after after Christmas, before the New Year, before that game. So seeing all that hard work pay off, it meant a lot. And for us to kind of make that change where maybe 3-4 years ago we weren't consistently beating them, we're now like, that game is marked on our calendars every year because we want to win those games. We want to keep that streak, and it means a lot to all of us to get out there and really show what we're worth.
You follow that up the following weekend, getting a win and a tie against Amherst, defending national champs, and putting your team into the national rankings for the first time in a few years. Just like to kind of sum that up for you, particularly as a leader of this team.
I mean, I would say that it really just, it makes everything feel worth it in the end. All those long days and, the soreness and coming to the rink tired or leaving after a long day when the sun's already down, it makes it all feel worth it, and it makes it feel really good as a team that we've done this together. They haven't been individual efforts, they've been things that we've done cohesively as a team, so to move forward in that way means a lot for us.
And do you feel like, as someone who's been through 4 years of the program and felt like, at least in the last 2 seasons, kind of knocking on the door of those big wins, to then take down an opponent like that, you said it kind of makes it all feel worthwhile. Do you feel like there's a sense of belief in the team that, we can beat them, we can kind of beat anybody now?
Absolutely. I'd say that over the last few years, we've been really trying to frame our mindset into a we can attitude. Like, we no longer want to think of ourselves as any type of underdog. We want to know that we are that competition that everyone else is going to get excited to play because they know they're going to play hard. And so for us to reframe that has been super beneficial as a team. Just the attitudes moving forward, we're not looking to make an upset. We're looking to put ourselves up there and stay up there. So it's been great to, like I said, see that all pay off, and to see us, hit the rankings at number 13 has been just amazing to continue on, and it works as motivation as well. You don't want to lose that spot.
And, hockey's an interesting sport where you use what's called the pairwise, and so there's no subjectivity when it comes into making the NCAA tournament if you don't win an automatic berth. Mm-hmm. It's all based on numbers, and the team's even higher in those rankings within the top 10 now for a couple weeks in a row. Is there any conversation that you all have as a team, and particularly the leadership of the team, saying, listen, like we can do this, as you said, and we want to take it further, and we have these bigger goals?
Absolutely. I mean, the women's NESCAC for ice hockey, there's only 9 of us. And so to make the NESCAC, there's 8. So the real goal there is to end up in the top 4, get that home seed, start with a home game on a good foot. And I truly believe that if we can reach our goal of ending in the top 4, that we will have a great playoff run. Just having that home advantage can be absolutely huge. We went to triple overtime last year in the NESCAC against Colby. Yeah. And so I think that even just being home then, could have been the difference maker. But yeah, we've seen in ourselves that we are 100% capable. So, accomplishing those goals has felt more attainable than ever.
So, Jenny, let's go back to the beginning of your hockey career. Growing up as a Connecticut native down in Ridgefield, You're probably like a lot of college hockey players in skates early on. Do you remember some of those early days of the parents lacing them up for you?
Absolutely. I'm the youngest of three, so I was in a rink like sooner than I can remember, especially because I'm born in the winter. So it was hockey season, you had to get to games. But I remember, lacing up the skates over on the pond, like my neighbor's pond with my brother and my sister, just doing anything I could to keep up with them. And they always were my motivation. I always wanted to be as good. My brother was a great player back in high school. And so I always looked up to them. And my dad, he was a youth coach for all three of us. And so I still remember, being in the rink in Ridgefield and my dad tying my skates my first few years. And those type of memories, like, they come back now and they make you emotional thinking of, all those times as a little kid where you'd look at your parents in the stands after a goal or something. And even now at like 22, almost 23, you still think like, thank you to my parents for all of this. They make it worth it. They made it happen. 3 kids playing hockey is a lot to handle. You're going to rinks every day whether you want to or not. So I'm extremely fond of those memories, and I'm extremely thankful to my parents as I get older to know that that was not easy, and to get there and just make it work, it meant everything to me.
Was there a point for you, maybe it was in elementary school or middle school, might have even been later, where the switch kind of went off and you said, I think I can do this, I think I can do it at a pretty high level, and I really want to see where I can go with hockey?
Yeah, I remember when I was my last few years of elementary school, my brother was in high school, and I'd go out there and watch him play. And to me, that was like the highest level of hockey ever. Public school hockey seemed like the coolest thing ever when you're in elementary school. So to watch that, I was like, this is something I can do. This is something I want to do. The speed, the physicality, like the emotion, everything. I just loved it. I loved being in the rink. I was telling my teammates the other day, I was the type of kid, or on snow days, I got dropped off when the rink opened, and parents would come get me at the end of the day. So at a very young age, I knew that, hockey was what I loved. And definitely my brother in high school, and then my sister, when she went to high school as well, she went to boarding school for her junior and senior year. And when she left, it was actually a lot on me emotionally, but it really made me realize that, these sacrifices are worth it in the end, because they ultimately are what we wanted to do and what we fought for and, worked for all these years.
So I know you were a multi-sporter as well, played field hockey and lacrosse.
Yeah.
Was there ever a point where a field hockey or a lacrosse coach said, hey, Jenny, your future's really in our sport, not in this thing on ice?
I wouldn't say they would go as far as saying that. I think as whenever I got really serious about those sports, they always knew that hockey was where my priority was. But I definitely owe it to some of my coaches for pushing me either way. I had a field hockey coach in high school that he understood that there was a handful of us where our first sport was ice hockey, but that didn't matter to him. He was going to make us the best field hockey players we could be. And at the end of the day, I think a lot of those things ended up helping me as a hockey player. So now I wouldn't say I'd end up on the field hockey pitch, but I definitely appreciate all those coaches and all those skills I learned.
And so you had the opportunity and spent 4 years at Westminster School out in Simsbury. A lot of Trinity connections at Westminster.
Yes.
So talk about that experience, how it maybe shaped you, but then also how that leads you to Trinity's door.
Yeah, Westminster, we call it a little bubble. It's a great place to grow up. I can't say it enough. I felt so loved and just looked after when I was there, whether really you couldn't be invisible at such a small school, so you were always supported. And if you were, falling down, there were always people there to pick you up. So it was an incredible, support system to grow up in. Their connections with Trinity are vast. I'm going to miss them just going through it right now. But both of my coaches on the ice hockey team, Jessica Keogh and Kelsey Finn, both went here and played ice hockey. Jessica is a little bit older, and she was on some of the first women's ice hockey teams here, which she speaks about very fondly, even though she was out, before Title IX was really enforced, finding her own uniforms and finding ice time. And she did a lot for women's sports here, for ice hockey, I know. And then Kelsey Finn is a legendary athlete here at Trinity, both in field hockey and ice hockey. She was on the women's ice hockey team that won the NESCAC, and her field hockey career is legendary. I know she still comes around to help out the team every once in a while.
National Player of the Year. And
yeah, like I said, I'm gonna miss it. I know, her name's on the wall out there several times.
Yeah.
She was always a great role model. She's just the epitome of hard work. She makes you know that to be an athlete, you need to work hard. And when I was growing up, we used to have a drill in field hockey where it was just get the ball away from Kelsey, and it was so hard. And it was just one of those things where she was proving to us that, you know, it takes hard work, because we weren't just going to go out there and be as good as her, because she showed that she was willing to work hard, and that's what it takes to be a great athlete. So she was an amazing role model. And then we have Timothy Jonkis, who's the athletic director over at Westminster, who's just a fantastic guy to be in connections with. He's so supportive. He's a Bantam through and through. Westy.
Played ice hockey here.
Yes, played ice hockey here. I know he won some championship. I've seen him up on the walls. And then, I mean, I can think of at least 3 or 4 other teachers who, their names don't come to mind right now, but it's a vast network between Westminster and Trinity. I was heavily motivated by Jessica and Kelsey to take a look over here, because I think they knew better than I did that this was a space where I could really thrive. And I mean, they knew from experience, and they were right.
So your first year at Trinity was that COVID year. And we've talked about this on the podcast with a lot of seniors who were here in that year, and everybody's experience a little bit different, but the similarity was a very odd fall, right? Not getting ready for a season, and just a lot of practicing with your teammates. Some with probably masks on, under the face masks, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But so just talk about that first year and how that shaped you, and maybe how it shaped what you wanted to get out of the next 3 years at Trinity.
I think it was a huge motivator for what I wanted out of the next 3 years, because it made me realize that time was shortening way faster than I ever realized it would. You know, growing up, you never realized that college wouldn't necessarily be 4 years of playing. And so when that happened, it definitely made me think that coming back sophomore year was going to mean that much more. Because even though we didn't necessarily have the year of playing under our belt, you know, we've been here, we've been practicing, and we've been thinking about it, which can mean a lot. So to really look forward into those next years, it felt like we really had something to prove, not only to everyone else, but just to ourselves, that all that time was really time well spent. And as far as that year goes, as far as development goes, I became really close with my class in particular. So these current seniors, the 5 of us, we were inseparable when we were freshmen, because those were the people you were seeing, and those were the people you were allowed to see.
Yeah.
And so they've been an amazing support system over the years. I still live with some of my teammates, as many athletes do. And at the end of the day, they're like family to me. I know that if I needed anything, I could call any one of them and they'd literally come running. So, you know, that year definitely wasn't perfect, but definitely a lot of benefits coming out of it. We're able to really solidify those relationships, whereas as a freshman, it can be a bit hard to get out there and make friends, but when you can only see the 4 other kids in your grade, you know, you guys become best friends, so it was all right.
And with that, so you're coming back into that sophomore year. COVID was still kind of raging at different times. Certainly after the break, I know we had a couple of stretches for different winter teams where very few players available. I know you had a few of those games, so that was a rocky year at times.
Absolutely. Everyone was doing everything they could just to stay healthy and just keep their play up to speed, even when they were out for a couple weeks. So I know there was one game that season where we played with 13 skaters, where we normally dress 20 of us. So that was just a wild ride to go through. I got COVID once. I don't think I missed any games, but it was a wild ride to go through, because you feel like you're doing everything right. You try to stay to yourself, and then you end up getting it from your mom or something, and you're like, you know, what can I do? But at the end of it all, we decided that year it was just really important for us to identify ourselves. Our team had kind of almost lost an identity over the years, just through people coming and going and just not being able to really come in together as a team through the COVID restrictions. And so that year was really a rebuild for us culturally, and I think that it was extremely beneficial. Although our record wasn't necessarily what we wanted it to be, us as a program, I think we were able to rebuild something that we knew would be successful in the future. And I owe a lot of that to the girls that have come and gone before me, some of the great captains we've had, like Angelica Mashenko and Olive Skull and Claudia Capone and Cassie McNeely. They've all created a great culture that we've been able to follow up and not only grow, but perfect to a certain extent. And at the end of the day, when you have strong culture, it makes it that much easier to translate into execution on the ice.
So talk about that for a second, just because it does, as you grow, you learn about the mistakes, and you learn about you see the great things that people do, and then you say, I might do it different when I'm a leader. To what extent did your group of 5 as seniors say, regardless of who actually gets that captaincy, we want to make sure that we're leaving this program in a better position than we found it?
Well, we always knew that with 5 of us, there are too many of us for us all to be have an actual letter, but at the end of the day, someone's going to have to do the job, and we all know that we're qualified in our own ways. And we decided, early on that we're a unit, and if anyone has anything that they need said or implemented, they should feel comfortable saying it or coming to any of us to have it done. And so moving forward from that, I think we definitely set a good precedent where everyone was willing to have a voice, because we weren't going to overstep. I may have a title, but that doesn't mean that I'm different than I have been the last 3 years. It's the character of all of our team that makes us the unit that we are. And so to create that culture, like I said, where everyone feels comfortable, like they can speak up, like they have a voice, like they're heard, it means a lot. And I think that a lot of that definitely did stem from, luckily, our communication through the 5 of us, that if you have anything to say, please by all means, say it. And if you want to double check, we're listening ears all the time.
So with 5 of you, I'm sure that each of you take on maybe a slightly different role, and particularly for the younger players in the program who come in and, have maybe heard about you, they knew you played at Westminster, so they played at another prep school or whatever it happened to be. So how do people describe you? Who are you to the younger players in the team?
Oh, I'm the team dad. That's what they call me. I'm the team dad. I'm pretty paternal. I like to take care of people, and so I'm always there if anyone needs me, for sure. And that I'm definitely have more of a tough love sense than others, where I'm willing to coddle, I'm willing to give you that hug, whatever, but I'm also going to tell you to get up and you're fine sometimes, So I would say, yeah, I'm considered the team, they call me the team dad for that reason.
But you're okay with it?
I'm totally okay with it, yeah. I don't think it's a bad role at all. Sometimes you just need that toughness, and to make sure you have that balance is, very important, but I think it's a role that needs to be played, and I'm happy to play it.
So away from the ice, away from classes, what is it that you do to kind of separate yourself from all that stuff and find balance? What's kind of your hidden thing?
So when I'm looking to just kind of get my mind off of things, the person I'll go to is really my sister. She's always been a rock for me. Just anything, anytime, she's always going to be there. So if it's something that I really need to talk through, I'm calling my sister and I'm going to talk on the phone with her for a while. If I'm looking to just kind of be by myself and relax and almost detox, this is funny, I got into baking during COVID. I like to bake. I like to bake cakes for my teammates for their birthdays. We had that about a week ago. Cookies, anything of that nature. I got really into it during COVID, and it just stuck with me. And I like the tranquility.
Mainly sweets.
Mainly sweets, okay. Yeah, for sure. I like making cookies mostly.
Does that ever become an issue in the apartment? Are there ever too many?
Yes.
Can there ever be too many?
Yes, my roommate had to keep me from buying stuff at the grocery store about a week ago. She said we have 20 cookies sitting on the counter. You can't make more. So she has to, Hannah Feinberg, my teammate, just stop me sometimes, but it's okay.
So as you think about thinking about the future, let's talk about the future of women's hockey. Women's hockey is at this really exciting time right now. The Pro League has started, and there are opportunities that didn't exist when you were a little girl. Mm-hmm. How does that make you feel as somebody who has been part of this growth of hockey, and how does it make you feel about the sport going forward? It's
extremely heartwarming to know that little girls have an opportunity to play hockey, and that hockey isn't necessarily perceived as a men's sport anymore. It's very unisex. When I was growing up, I played with the boys until I was in 8th grade, because there just weren't enough girls around me playing hockey to create teams that were actually effective or very good. And so to see the growth has been, like I said, just extremely heartwarming. I have been very privileged to still be working with youth hockey through coaching, and to see just the numbers that show up to tryouts and stuff. It's amazing to know that all of these girls not only want it, but there's also opportunities out there. Hockey is growing at an exponential rate, and to see everything, like you said, the new PWHL, it's amazing for girls to go out there and, like you said, see that it is possible. The PWHL has been like an amazing opportunity for a lot of women, and if it continues to grow at the rate in which a lot of us think it will, with all of the support it's been getting from some past NHL players and just some large names in hockey, like I believe that it can be truly successful past where some of the other national leagues have tried to be. Like I remember seeing like the Connecticut Whale practicing at a Chelsea Piers when I was growing up, going there for like summer skates. And I always thought that that was, awesome, but I was like, where is it? You didn't really hear about it. And then this year with the PWHL, everyone knew about it. You heard about it. I saw it on social media. The organization that I coach at was sending groups of girls down to watch the games, getting like group ticket orders. So just to see it growing in a way where everyone really like wants it and they want to be there, it's fantastic. I mean, they saw out, I believe in Toronto, they just set a new record on how many people have ever attended a women's ice hockey game with like 13,000 or something. And those are numbers that people would have never thought of. But I think us, women's ice hockey players and those that love the sporters, they know that, if you give them a place, people will come.
And market it appropriately.
Yes.
And actually put the resources around creating an environment where it's giving people a good reason to spend their money.
Absolutely.
So that's exciting. So as you head into the last, like I said, those last 8-10 games, I guess, or so, how do you want to be remembered? How do you, and you, it doesn't have to be just you, maybe it's your group of 5 seniors, how do you all want to be remembered as you go into this final stretch for Trinity women's hockey?
Just people that cared. People that really cared not only about the fate of their program, but about their teammates and about, their own conduct. We want to be remembered as a class that came in and made things even better and left everyone else in an even better place than when we showed up. And for us to be doing what we're doing is a great foot. But for us to really come through and like solidify our goals, it's going to be now executing in these last 10 games. Because we've had these goals, we've been a class with huge aspirations for years, but now for us it's all about execution. So I think that's also a great way to be remembered, where you want to be a supportive teammate, but at the end of the day, like as an athlete, you need to execute, and that's supporting your teammates as well. So that's something that we definitely have our eyes set on.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Of course.
Jenny Guider from Trinity Women's Hockey. That's going to do it for this conversation in the Coop. For the latest news, scores, and schedules, go to bantamsports.com. Follow us on social media at Bantam Sports. Until next time.